In this tutorial, we're going to use a SkySilk VPS to build a WordPress site on, and it's going to be lightning fast. We're going to keep an eye on speed throughout this tutorial so we can show how the speed changes the more stuff we add to the site. We'll test the speed when it's just a plain WordPress site. We'll test the speed when our domain name is redirected to there. We'll test it after our landing page is done. And we'll see that the VPS is super fast and it's very affordable compared to traditional hosting plans and shared hosting plans, which are not as fast. If you have any questions throughout this tutorial, please leave them in the comments down below. My name is Bjorn Allpass from WPLearningLab, where we help you get better at WordPress so you can earn more for yourself, for your clients, and for your business. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. And we're getting started right now. We're starting this video right inside my SkySilk dashboard. I don't have a VPS created yet. I'm going to create one in just a minute, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that. And a VPS is a virtual private server, which basically means really fast hosting, essentially. And as opposed to regular hosting, where you pay a flat fee every month for what you get, whether you have a website there or not, you're paying a monthly fee to have your hosting. With a VPS, you're only paying for what you use. If you don't have a VPS, you can have this account, this SkySilk account forever. If you don't have a VPS on there, you don't pay anything. You start paying once you have the VPS. And what you pay is a lot less than traditional hosting, which you'll find out in just a second. So I'm going to click on Create VPS to get started. As of this recording, the basic and the premium are not available, but you can see the prices up here at the top. We're going to do the standard, which is the most common one you would use. And the reason these two are not available is because SkySilk is a newer host and they're constantly bringing new servers online. As their servers sell out, they'll put some of these plans on pause for new customers. Existing customers still retain their plans and still use their plans as normal. Just the new customers aren't able to come on one of these plans right now until new servers are online. I'm going to choose the standard, which is the one in the middle here, which starts at $1.50 per month. Compare that to the cost of regular hosting. Under Choose Template is where we choose what our template's going to be. You can have just an operating system. If you're a developer, you know what you're doing in there. Apps and tools, you can choose WordPress, which we will in just a second, but you can choose all kinds of other platforms as well if you want, depending on what you're creating. I'm going to choose WordPress right here on the top. Depending on what you choose and what's currently online, you can choose different processors. We have Intel Xenon as our processor here. No choice, just have that one. There are two data centers. The New York one is currently not available. They're probably upgrading it, adding more servers. So we're going to choose a Los Angeles data center. Then we can choose the configuration of our hardware, meaning how many resources we have. So if we have Pico, which is the smallest one, we get a virtual CPU to ourselves, 512 megabytes of RAM, 10 gigabytes solid-state hard drive, 200 megabytes per second bandwidth, 500 gigabytes transfer. And it's most important to know that these resources are all for your website. They're not shared. This is not shared hosting. They're not shared between websites on your account. Every time you add a website, you go through this process and you pick a hardware configuration, you pick a data center, you pick a platform you want to use, and those resources are dedicated to that website. They're not shared. And that's why virtual hosting, virtual private hosting can be so much faster than traditional hosting, and the cost is less. If you have one website at $2 a month on the Pico, that's a lot cheaper than pretty much every shared hosting plan you can find. And those are shared hosting plans, those aren't dedicated servers. So let's carry on. Let's go down to Setup VPS. We have to enter a name here. This name is for our purposes internally. It's not the name of the website or anything. It's just going to be this name inside your account. So let's just call this new WP site. We're going to choose password login allowed for authentication method. I'm going to generate a password by clicking on generate password. I'm going to click on show. Here's our password. I'm going to hide it again, copy to clipboard. So we have that handy. And now we have our password handy. Passwords are important, so keep that in a safe place because this is a complicated password. So make sure you save that somewhere or create your own password that you can remember, but make sure it's secure. The SSH key and our DNS name IPv4 are optional, so we're going to skip those. These last two options, you can have automated backups just by turning that on. That adds 15 cents per month to the cost of your subscription. And snapshots also adds 15 cents per month. And these backups and snapshots basically allow you to restore to older versions of your site or of your VPS in case something goes wrong. So you can turn both of those on or not, depending how you want to do it. You can still do manual backups for free. So you don't have to turn these on, but having them automated, having them scheduled does provide some peace of mind. It means you don't have to constantly go into your dashboard to do the backups. And if you have lots of sites, it's quite convenient to have backups. Then we click on Go to create the VPS. And now it's creating it. Once this bar is fully filled, it will be done. So I'm going to fast forward. Actually, I'll pause the video until that time. Usually takes a few minutes. It's not very long, I'll just pause it till we get there. Our VPS is now online, and we can manage everything to do with it right here in the dashboard. WordPress is not yet installed. The WordPress module, I guess, is on this IP address, which is where your website will live. And we'll change that to a domain name in this video as well. But it's there waiting for us to install, but it's not installed yet. We'll do that in just a few minutes. First, I want to go through some of the stuff in the dashboard they have available to you, which is stuff that you don't normally get in a lot of cPanel hosting accounts. So with the Pico plan that we have, these are the resources that we ordered, as you saw a moment ago. If we click on Configure, we can actually choose different plans. So at any point, you could go to a small plan for 20 bucks a month and have all these resources. And then next month or next week or whenever, go back to the Pico, depending on what the needs are of your website. Let's X out of here. We also have the option to boost, which for a smaller amount of money, we can quickly and easily boost from Pico to Nano, for example, for 25 cents for 24 hours. So if you are launching some kind of big email campaign or ad campaign and you're anticipating a lot of traffic to your site that could potentially crash your site or slow it down substantially depending on what resources you have, you can boost it for 24 hours. And after the 24 hours are up, you can come back in and boost it again. I'm sure you can even contact their support and they'll boost it for longer periods. But the point is, you can boost your server resources on demand as needed, which you cannot do in a regular hosting account. Let's X out of here. And down below here, we have all of our information about this deployment or this VPS. We have information about when it was deployed, how much we're paying per month. You can view usage details, which right now won't be anything, but over time, you will see balances, account credits, SkyPoints, which is a point system that we'll talk about in just a minute as well. And that basically allows you to collect points on your VPS and redeem those points towards lowering the cost of your VPS or even getting gift cards to other services, other companies like Amazon, things like that. So back in our main VPS dashboard, we have all these tabs to go through. Under graphs, we see usage stats. We see the CPU, we had a little spike. A spike up to 1.5% usage, which is not very much. But we had that spike because we just installed it. So the computer was doing something, and we saw this spike. When you have spikes in traffic on your site, you also see spikes in CPU. You may also see spikes in RAM usage, disk usage, transfer rates. And back at the top, next tab, the activity tab. This is what's been happening on this VPS. Not very much at the moment. Backups tab. Currently backups are on, so they're going to be automated. Backups are being created every Wednesday at this time. You can also click on backup now, and it creates a backup right now. Let's just do, let's call this first backup. Click on create backup. And now once this bar is fully green, it'll be backed up. You want to do something like this if you're updating a bunch of plugins on your site. And before you update plugins, it's usually a good idea to have a backup or create a backup if you don't have one yet, because sometimes things go wrong and you want to revert back to a working version of the site. And that's where backups come in really handy. As you can see, it didn't take very long. That's because our site doesn't have much going on yet. You can click on restore to restore the backup. So if you're updating plugins, something goes wrong, you would then restore back to an older version. There'd be a whole list here if you have multiple backups. You can restore to any one of the older versions you want by just clicking this button, restore. Then click OK, and then you have that older version of your site back online. The plugins will not be backed up. You'd have to then update each one individually and see which one of those plugins causes the problem, and then either find a different one or delete that plugin or ask the developer. Either way, make backups before you update your plugins, and this area makes that super simple. Snapshots are very similar. You can have a snapshot, which is a current snapshot of your site that you can also revert back to when needed. Click on Add Snapshot to add a snapshot. Let's call this first snapshot. No spaces. Let's take out that space. Create a snapshot. Again, it goes really quick because our site doesn't have very much going on right now. Here we have our snapshot. We can roll back to that snapshot as needed. And we have 1 out of 4 manual snapshots currently used. If you want to delete a snapshot, click on delete and you can remove it. Super simple. Under SSH, this is secure connections to the site. There are no entries here right now. You go to the SSH console if you're a developer and you know what you're doing in there. And you can create SSH access if you need to. Under network, this is where the RDNS or reverse DNS information goes, which we didn't add earlier. It was optional, but you can add it here if you didn't add it earlier, but you want to add it now. The garbage can allows you to delete your VPS if you want to. The reinstall allows you to reinstall the operating system and basically redeploy if something went wrong. So those are all the options we have inside of the hosting account. So they are different than a regular cPanel. There's also fewer. A regular cPanel has tons of options, and this one is slimmed down to be just what you need for your website. A cPanel account has options for everything. Most of it you don't need, but some people do need it, so they have everything in one spot, whereas here you just have what you need. So let's go ahead and install WordPress at this location right here. Let's copy this IP, open a new tab, paste that in, hit enter, and we have a familiar WordPress installation screen. Let's choose English. Let's call this test site, for lack of a better name. I'm going to choose a very simple password. The password is very weak. You should never use very weak passwords on your site, but I am, because this is not going to be a production site. This is the demo on how to create the websites through SkySilk. I'm going to click on confirm use of weak password. I'm going to add my email address, and I will keep this one unchecked. Click on install WordPress. It's all done. Click on login, enter the login details that we just picked out, and we're into the dashboard. Now if we go and view the site, let's zoom in a little bit. If we go and view the site, this is how it looks. 2019 theme, super basic, vanilla, but we're still at this IP address. This is not something you want to give out to people or have listed on your business card because it doesn't look very professional. You want to have an actual domain name. So to make this an actual domain name, we have to log into our domain registrar account. For this example, I'm going to go into Namecheap. So the domain name I have on this account is WPLearningLab.club. It's a great domain name. I'll probably never use it, so don't go here expecting some kind of cool club to join. I don't have the bandwidth to do that right now. Too many kids, too much going on in life. But this domain name exists, and it's one I bought for a different video. If I click on Manage, we can add a DNS to point to our IP address. So go to Advanced DNS, and again, this is a Namecheap. GoDaddy does it very similarly. I can show you GoDaddy in just a minute as well. So here we see the records we need to edit. This one right here I added for the previous video, which is a redirect to my main website. So if you go to WPLearningLab.club, it redirects to here. Let's just confirm that. Let's confirm that that is true. And that is true. There's my main site. So first I'm going to add a new record by clicking on Add New Record. I'm going to make it an A record. The host is going to be @ which just means when someone goes to the website or that URL, WPLearningLab.club, I'm going to copy this IP. And I promise this is probably the most technical thing you'll have to do with the VPS, but it is necessary. Paste the IP address in here, change this to 60 minutes, click on the check. These other two, we can delete those. Click on the garbage can, click on delete. Garbage can again, click on delete. Refresh, make sure they're gone. And they are. If you delete them without having another record there, they'll just reappear because you can't have 0 A records. A records are basically telling servers where to send traffic. Even if there's no traffic on your site, you still have to tell your servers where you want the traffic to go if it does happen to come one day. So now we have this A record set up. And at some point in the very near future, within a few minutes or maybe a few hours at the most, going to this URL will no longer take us to my main site. It will take us to this test site. So let's give this a go, see if it's happened already. I'd be surprised if it went that quick. So it's not working yet. These changes, DNS changes, they can take a while to what's called propagate, which basically means spread across the internet. So that's why it takes a few minutes to a few hours sometimes. So I'll just pause this video until this website is accessible and until it redirects to our test site, and then we'll carry on from there. I paused this video before these DNS settings have taken effect because I thought, why not take this time to test the site speed of this site right here? Granted, this is the IP address, but it's the exact same site. We're just going to access it through a domain name in a few minutes, right now through the IP. But we can take this and test the site speed to see how fast this VPS really is. So let's go to GTmetrix, paste in our IP address, click on test your site. And this is just a vanilla WordPress install and the 2019 theme. We haven't done any kind of speed customization, and we also don't have any content or anything really heavy to be loading there. And our load time right now is 406 milliseconds. That's a pretty good place to start because that's super fast. I dare you to find a regular host, shared hosting, that loads this quickly with just WordPress installed and just the 2019 theme. You'll be hard pressed to find it. And the why slow score is not great because it wants a CDN, which you currently don't have, and it wants expires headers, which can be added very easily using either htaccess code or a plugin like WP Rocket or another speed optimization plugin. Those are easily fixed. And then Y slow score would be high 90s or 100, or probably not 100 because we have this 92 right here, but it'd be high 90s for sure once those two things are addressed. And after we have the domain name in place, we'll test the speed again, and then we'll actually create a little landing page on the site and test the speed again to see how fast it is, see how the speed changes as we add the page builder and the landing page to our SkySilk VPS. And keep in mind also we have the slowest option. We have the Pico, which was the slowest plan on the SkySilk VPS. The faster the plan, the higher the plan, the faster this will load. So keep that in mind. The slowest plan is loading in less than half a second. There we are. It's just a few minutes after we tested our site speed, and I've refreshed the page, and now our test site is loading at www.WPLearningLab.club, which is what we want, and that is this site right here. I'll have to zoom in, make it look the same. So we can close this tab because we have our site online over here, and I said we'd test the speed once the domain name is on there. So let's see if adding a domain name adds a significant amount of loading time. Let's go back to the GTmetrix homepage. Let's paste that in. You know what? That was wrong. Let's open a new tab so we can compare the two. I know GTmetrix offers a comparison option as well, but I don't like it very much. You can compare them right here. I don't find that works very well. I prefer to have two tabs, then go back and forth. So having a domain name redirect added a few milliseconds. We loaded previously at 400 milliseconds, and now we're at 700 milliseconds. The file size is the same, number of requests is the same, our page speed scored and Y slow score are all the same. It's just the load time that's changed, and that's probably due to our domain name. Let's click on retest just to make sure that it stays at around the 0.7, 0.6. So it's a little bit slower because of the domain name. Because the more you redirect things, the slower things become. Because there's different servers and different systems talking to each other, things can get a little slower. And I promised you when I did this DNS in Namecheap, I'd show you where to do it in GoDaddy as well. At least I think I promised that. If I didn't, I should have. Once you're logged into GoDaddy, go to Manage Domains, find any domain on the list, anyone you want. Let's use this one. Click on the three dots. Click on Manage DNS. Here's the A record right here. This one's already pointing to an IP. All you do is change this IP or whatever A record is listed here to be the IP that is right here in your SkySilk account. We're creating the exact same type of A record just like at Namecheap, only we're doing it in GoDaddy, and this is where you do it. I'm going to close a bunch of tabs. I'm going to keep these ones open. I'll close the Namecheap tab, that's not needed anymore. And we can log in to this site now. Let's go to WP admin. Our login information is what we entered previously. And let's go to settings and general. And here we still have our IP as the web address. We want to add our new website, which was www.WPLearningLab.club. And then click on Save Changes. It'll boot us out. Then we have to log in again. And now we can see that we have our website URL up here, not the IP. And on the front end, we have the website as well. Now I'm going to install Elementor, and we're going to use the free version. I'm just going to use one of their free landing page templates, and we're going to have that running on this site, and we're going to see how fast it loads once we have Elementor and a landing page installed. So let's go to plugins and add new. Let's look up Elementor. Click on install now, click on activate, click on that X to close that. Let's go to pages, add new, edit with Elementor. Let's click on the folder to find a template, and let's just use this hotel landing page. Looks very nice. Click on insert, go to the gear icon, make our page layout Elementor canvas, because we want the landing page to be the whole page, not just put inside of a different page. I'm going to add a name, a title. I could have done this before. I'm going to call this homepage. Could have done that before I logged into edit with Elementor. So here's our landing page. Looks very nice. Let's click on publish and let's exit out of here. And now we want to make that appear as our homepage, which currently it does not. It's currently at our website /homepage. We want to have it on right here on the actual homepage. To do that, we go to settings and reading, choose a static homepage, and choose homepage as the homepage. Click on save changes. Now if I refresh out here, we now see our nice little landing page. Looking very good. Let's copy the URL. Let's open another GTmetrix tab. Now that we have Elementor and the landing page installed, let's see how fast it loads. Click on test your site. And now with Elementor and the landing page, we're now loading at 3.4 seconds, which is a far cry from the 0.6 of a standard WordPress site with a domain name. And all that time that's added and the file size and the request number, you'll see those are a lot bigger too, 1.4 megabytes versus 47 kilobytes, and 8 requests up to 49 requests, and that's all Elementor. And don't get mad at Elementor, that's most page builders. Most page builders add a lot of code to the site. And you can improve these stats by using a plugin like WP Rocket or a different optimization plugin that will address these issues that are listed down here, like deferring JavaScript, leveraging browser caching, minimizing redirects, scaling images. There's a couple of plugins you can use to make that load faster. So we can get this back down to under 1 second. I'm pretty sure using some of those plugins. Just for fun, I'm going to transfer this site to SiteGround to see how it loads over there, to see if there's any difference in the load speed between SiteGround and a VPS from SkySilk. It's going to be the exact site, just transferred over. It'll be a different domain name, but it's going to be the exact same website. And we'll see how the load time is affected. I'm going to pause this video while I do that transfer. Here we are at dev.elementor2019.com, and this is the exact same landing page that we had just a moment ago. And to prove to you that this URL is in SiteGround, here's one of my SiteGround accounts, and here is that domain name right there. So this is in SiteGround. Let's copy this domain name. Let's open GTmetrix again. A lot of GTmetrix tabs open. Let's test the speed of this guy and see if it's any different than SkySilk. So we have our load speed done for the version of the site on SiteGround. It loads at 3.6 seconds or in 3.6 seconds. If you keep clicking retest, this number will change slightly. 3.4 seconds for the one on SkySilk, so a little bit faster, but really the average user wouldn't be able to notice that speed difference. The biggest difference is in the price. If we go to SkySilk, we saw this a little bit earlier, but if we go into configure, we see the prices for this Pico account, which loads at the same speed. Keep in mind, this is the slowest option on SkySilk. It's at $2 a month, and it's a little bit faster than SiteGround. This is per site as well. So if you have 10 sites in your SkySilk account and they're all in the Pico plan, that's $20 a month. So keep in mind, this is per site. So on SiteGround, my SiteGround account, the one that we tested right here, is a shared account. So I'm paying, I think it's $13 a month, but I can have up to 10, maybe unlimited. I can have a large number of websites under that plan. So per website, it can be a lot cheaper. And the more websites that exist on that shared server, which is shared with other customers, other SiteGround customers, the slower my sites will become. Whereas on SkySilk, if I can get back to where I was, this is just you. This Pico plan, these resources, those are all just you. They're not shared. And that's why on the smallest plan, we're loading even a little bit faster than a SiteGround shared plan. Now, if you go up to the SiteGround dedicated plan at much more cost, you also have a virtual private server. So they're going to load a lot faster. But for that price, you can also upgrade your SkySilk, and chances are really good that you'll be loading faster on SkySilk again because it's just a really fast system. So if you have a high traffic website or your clients have a high traffic website, you may want to look into SkySilk because they can really help improve the speed of your sites and make sure they stay up when there's lots of traffic. The last thing I want to show you is the rewards. Click on rewards up here. We touched on this earlier. There's something called SkyPoints. When you have an account with SkySilk, you get a certain number of SkyPoints every month, which we saw, I have to go back again, which we saw right here under configure. Under the Pico plan, we get 2 SkyPoints every month that were on this plan. For the Colossus or the Titanic, 600 SkyPoints every month. And it's also a very expensive plan, but you can host some mega high traffic websites. So these SkySilk points accumulate for you every month. And if you go to the rewards tab, you can redeem them for cash, so 500 points is $5. That can go towards your SkySilk balance, or you can also get gift cards if you want to. There's no other host that I know of that allows you to collect points just by using their service, and then with those points either get gift cards or lower your monthly bill on that host. So I think SkySilk may be the only one at this point. I don't know of any others. If you know some others, let me know in the comments down below, but I don't know of any. Another thing you can do is refer SkySilk to your friends. You basically become a referral partner. You just click on the referrals tab and you have this little link. You copy that link, you put it, for example, down below this video. If someone clicks on that link and signs up, use the referrer, get 2,500 SkyPoints that you can redeem through the rewards system I showed you a moment ago. And the person that you refer, the one who signs up through your link, they get $25 they can use as credit towards any service in SkySilk, but they have to use that within 60 days. That's a lot of the important stuff in your SkySilk account. So I encourage you to check out SkySilk. There's a link in the description down below. You can also go to skysilk.com. And once you get there, all you have to do is click on start for as low as, and then choose your plan and start building out your site as I showed you in this video. So that's how easily we get a site up on SkySilk. It's not very technical. The most technical thing was just copying and pasting the IP address into your domain registrar, which, if you follow the instructions, is not that difficult. If you do decide to give SkySilk a try, I hope your website's a whole lot faster. My name is Bjorn Allpass from WPLearningLab. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure to click subscribe and ring the bell. And next up is watching this video up here, which shows you the top 10 mistakes that I see over and over and over again in regards to security on WordPress. So make sure you check that out because you're making at least one of those for sure. And this video down here is the one that YouTube thinks you should watch. And until next time, my name is Bjorn Allpass from WP Learning Lab. Keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.